Hi, this is Tom Mura from World Class Coaching with this week's animated drill. This is a game we call 1v1 Flying Changes, and it's obviously a 1v1 game. We do it in teams, and even if you have an odd number of players, so if we put an extra player down here, let's say, on this team, so they've got an extra player with an extra ball, then you can still play this game, and it's equal because at any one time, you only have one player on the field from each team. So even with odd numbers, you can play this game, this 1v1 game. So here's how it works. Every player in line has a ball. One player starts out as the defender, and then we have one attacker from the other team. Just like in any traditional 1v1 game, this attacker is trying to beat this defender and score a goal. If they do that, if they score the goal, then as soon as the ball goes in the goal, this player leaves the field, and now we have the next attacker from the other team with their ball, comes on the field and attacks this defender. So as soon as the goal is scored, that happens. Likewise, if the shot is taken, and let's say it's out of bounds, and these are small 3v3 goals that we usually use for this activity, and the surface, I'd say this is about 20 yards long, and the width of it really doesn't bother me, to be honest. A lot of times I'll let the players go outside that area. Obviously, it gets to a certain point where it's ridiculous and we're too far away from the goal, and I'll deal with that, how we do that in a second. But that's the basic setup of the activity. So now after the goal is either scored or the ball goes out of bounds, this next attacker comes off. This previous attacker joins the end of the line, gets that soccer ball, and we're ready to go. So now this attacker comes down the field and tries to score on this defender. Likewise, if that same thing happens and the ball is shot either in the goal or goes out of bounds, now we have the next attacker come on with the next ball. So this pattern just continues back and forth. And that's the reason for calling it flying changes, because it's not something that's static and you wait for a certain amount of time. It changes as the game moves. If the goal is scored or if the ball goes out of bounds, the next player goes. Now you might say, okay, what if the ball goes out of bounds on the side? It does get ridiculously far away. Then whichever side of me the ball goes out on, then that attacker comes onto the field. That way you don't get confusion, although you still do have confusion when they're first learning this game. You'll find that this player will just come on the field randomly. After this player misses their shot, they'll come on thinking it's their turn. But we just have to, get them in the habit of understanding, okay, the other team now has a chance to attack because this player was either successful or unsuccessful in their shot. Ball goes out of bounds over here, next player comes on here, and we just keep going back and forth. So there's obviously a ton you can coach here. The obvious being, the 1v1 skills and attitude really to take people on 1v1 and go for it. The defensive ideas and principles as far as making sure that you take one side of the field away. You're on your quarter turn, what we call on your surfboard with young defenders, and trying to cut the field off and trying to actively defend and keep the attacker away from this goal while always staying in front and denying the space behind them. So you can coach all of these things. As for progressions, another way you can do this is you can say, if a player gets into a spot where they don't feel they can get out of, so let's say they get caught in a corner here and they just can't get out, then they're able to pass this ball back to their teammate who joins, but then the other team gets an opportunity to have that player. So if you pass back, then this turns into a 2v2. Now, you could build that up and allow them to pass back again, but what I try to point out to them is that every time you pass back, you add a defender as well. So unless you've got a clear opportunity to attack very, very quickly and pass back and then attack 2v1, perhaps you get caught down further down the field here. And now we've got the opportunity to pass back, create a 2v1, beat this player, and then try to create another 2v1 down the field. Okay, that makes sense. But if you're just always passing backward, you're never achieving that goal, which is to score a goal on the other end. So in this kind of environment, I want the players going for it. I want them taking chances, taking players on, trying to score goals. So this is a great activity. It's one that my players always ask to do whenever we talk about doing 1v1s. They love playing flying changes. So give that a try with your team and see how it goes.